Hi lacrosse fans, welcome back to the Sticks and Picks Lacrosse podcast. I'm your host, Will Pechnig. May is Mental Health Awareness Month in Canada. Today we are releasing a special story about someone in the lacrosse community. He shares his story about his mental health journey and how he is trying to end the stigma. Please check out the GoFundMe link attached to this episode. For every $2 raised, he will be doing one burpee on June 1st. So far, our guests will be completing over 1,000 burpees, and it will continue to grow until the end of May. He's a Whitby minor and Clarington minor lacrosse player. He played 3 years for the Clarington Shamrocks, winning 3 straight Meredith Cups. He's a Seton Hill University graduate. He's the owner and head coach at Take Control Training. He's the performance director of Edge Lacrosse, and he's the Green Gaels strength and conditioning coach, Trevor Cyr.
Thanks for having me, Will. How you doing today, man?
Pretty good. I'm glad you came on here to talk to us about kind of your mental health journey. And now you're a big time mental health advocate, and you remind others that it's okay not to be okay, especially now that it's May and it's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Absolutely. I mean, a big reason why I got into all this is because the stigma we see around our sport. I mean, it's not always easy to be open about how we're feeling and the different emotions we go through in life. And it's not always in sport that we might find those adverse emotions. But I think in sport, we can find those adverse relationships with people that are going to allow us to talk through those things. So definitely excited to talk about a few things with you today. And hopefully in that time, a few people who are listening can resonate with the stuff that we talk about.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think it's great that you're out here to talk about mental health and kind of your journey through it. And as well as at the end, we'll talk about your TCT Resiliency Initiative.
That's right. That's a fun one coming up on June 1st. So we'll save that to the end.
Yeah, no, exactly. So do you mind talking to the lacrosse fans kind of about your mental health journey and where you are today with all of it?
Sure, absolutely. So growing up, like you said, played lacrosse in Whitby and Clarington, and pretty blue-collar communities out in the east end of Toronto in terms of you put your nose to the grindstone, you keep working hard through things, and that's just kind of the way it is. And that's the mentality I was grown up and raised with. And so I took that same mentality of internalizing things off down to Seton Hill University, and I really enjoyed my time down there. But part of that experience in college lacrosse for me was unfortunately facing a few serious injuries. My junior year, I dislocated a few of the bones in my neck. I rehabbed pretty hard for my senior season, which for a college lacrosse player, that's kind of the last hurrah for a lot of guys, especially as a D2 lacrosse player. I knew I wasn't going to be going pro. I knew I wasn't going to have much of a playing career for after college. And so I had put all my provial or perennial or whatever you want to say, eggs in one basket to really make that last year special. And unfortunately, 364 days after I had done my neck, I broke my lower back. Separated a few discs again, had a couple cracks in my L4 and L5 spine. Really lucky not to be paralyzed, but went through absolute hell because of it. The biggest issue was not so much the pain, because 2 weeks after breaking my back, the medicine I was on, the depression I had, I wasn't eating, and I got really sick. I got bronchitis. So every cough was like, I mean, for the lacrosse guys, you understand what it's like to take a cross check to the back or a hard pick if you're playing defense to the back and it hits out of nowhere. Every single cough was absolute hell. And I didn't know how to face it. I had no real outlets at the time. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know if I could talk to anybody because, the culture on the sport was, oh, come on, you're not bleeding. Like, I can't see that this is broken. There's some swelling, but come on. What do you mean your legs are going run, or numb? Come on. And so I didn't react the greatest way somebody could at that age. I mean, 21 years old. I didn't know how to deal with my emotions still, and it wasn't the easiest thing to do. But I was taking a lot of drugs. I was drinking a lot. Those were the outlets that I had chosen. And I was lost, man. I was lost. I was taking a ton of classes. I was trying to do anything to take my mind off of the idea and the concept that there's no senior season. Your lacrosse career is done. You'll never play again. And this is it for you. It was completely taken away. The whole year of hard work that I had put in beforehand meant nothing because it was taken away in an absolute instant. And that's hard. I mean, injuries are a part of sport. They are, but how we react to them matters even more so. And unfortunately, I didn't react in a way that is conducive to the kind of character that I want or want to be. And I didn't react in a way that would make my family proud or my teammates proud or my coaches proud. And again, I got heavy into the drugs and the alcohol for 3 or 4 years there, where after graduation, I was bouncing around from job to job to job, smoking a lot, drinking a lot, taking drugs in between jobs. And, things kind of came to a culminating point where, one night I just laid out all my pain medication and I just said, enough is enough. I'm going to end this right now. I can't be any more emotional or physical pain. And I tried to take all the pills in that bottle and kill myself. Luckily, I didn't succeed, or I didn't fulfill that process, and my body was able to reject those medications. And I ended up in a hospital, kind of just expressing to the emergency department, what was going on, how I'd gotten to this point, all the bad things that I was putting into my body for the last half a decade, and basically expressing that, I had reached rock bottom. I didn't know where to go from here. I don't know what to do. I had finally admitted that I needed help. And that was the biggest stepping point for me as a human being, was finally admitting that I just couldn't do it by myself and that I needed external support systems to get me through what was going on. And so I spent some time in the hospital, talking with psychologists about different underlying issues that I had. I was diagnosed with bipolar depression, manic depression. And so it kind of made sense to have that diagnosis of, there's been so many up and downs in my life. Why do I feel so happy one moment and I wake up the next day and I literally cannot get out of bed? It feels like there's a massive weight on my chest. And I'm still facing that every day. I'm still waking up some days and I'm just not sure if I can get through the day. But now I'm in a position where, as a coach of young kids, like there's some purpose behind getting up every day. There's a little bit of a kick in the butt to, hey, you're lucky to be here right now. You might not have been here. Those pills could have done their job, and they didn't. So that's a big purpose and foundational reason for doing what I do today in terms of strength conditioning, right? Because I wasn't training the right way. In college, I was doing way too much, lifting too much, running too much. I wasn't allowing my body to recover. I wasn't allowing my mind to recover. And so I pushed myself to places mentally and physically that lacrosse players and most athletes shouldn't be pushing themselves toward. And the reason why I got into what I do today is to help younger athletes make sure, or at least try to do their best to avoid the situations that I put myself in with training, with the drugs, with the alcohol, with the lifestyle decisions I was choosing. If I can help taper off some of that, change the culture of our sport a little bit to say, hey, it's okay not to be okay, then to me, that's a good purpose to get up every day. It's a good purpose to get things off my chest. I mean, this is a great example right now, is just having this conversation with you. I mean, it's still a form of therapy to me, is to just talk about it. And I know a lot of athletes will say the same thing, like just talking about it can be the hardest thing, but can be the most beneficial thing to you. And that's kind of where I'm at now, is, live through some tough times, some hard times for sure. And there's going to be harder times in life too. But now I think and I feel as if I got a little more construct and support systems in a way that's going to best do it with me, if that makes sense. And I want to help other people, find those outlets for themselves too, and avoid all the stuff that I went through. So that's kind of my 30-second elevator pitch of my mental health story. Not a pretty one, but not one that I shy away from anymore.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you touched on it there. You said it's okay to not be okay when you realize that you needed to reach out for the help. I know for a lot of people, that's always one of the most difficult things, or whether it's the stigma that's around it. You're too shy to ask for the help, or you're too nervous of what others will think about you. But I think you did the right thing in asking for that help. And it was unfortunate what your story came to, but to look at where you are today, I think you're an inspiration to a lot of people who deal with mental health problems. So I think it's great what you're doing now. You have an awesome company with Take Control Training, and you have so many young athletes. And I think it's great that you get to help out and give back to the game of lacrosse that gave you a lot of points in your life. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, it also brought you to difficult times, but now you're just doing so much to give back to the game of lacrosse, and it's incredible. And the next point I want to bring it to is your TCT Resiliency Initiative that you're doing for the month of May, and what you're going to be doing on June 1st.
Yeah, so on June 1st, right, the TCT Resiliency Initiative. So, I mean, to me, resiliency is a really big word, right? And what does it mean to you? What does it mean to me? What does it mean to other athletes is going to be different things. But to me, resiliency means, understanding that things can be hard and they're going to be difficult, and it's going to be difficult. But what do you want to do about it, right? How are you going to react to it? And you can be upset. You can be stuck in those emotions. And I encourage people listening to this to sit with those sad moments or angry moments or confusing moments and realize, hey, this is going to be okay. It's okay to sit with these because this is a natural human reaction. It's a natural emotion to feel that way. But on June 1st, the Resiliency Initiative, I'm going to be doing one burpee for every $2 raised. And we have a fun little GoFundMe set up right now that I'm checking the numbers at, and we are at $2,156 raised. I had an original goal of $2,000. That's been surpassed. We have a new $3,000 goal, but you divide that number in two, it was 1,078 or 1,072 burpees, something like that. So on June 1st, I know I'm going to be doing at least 1,000 burpees. How much more is completely up to everybody in the lacrosse community, specifically who can get involved with this. But I figured, everybody understands what a burpee is. Everybody kind of understands where mental health is at nowadays and the stigma that's being changed around that. And I wanted to be on the forefront of that movement as well. And I think, what better way to do this than to do some crazy, outlandish, over the top physical challenge that people can resonate with. Like, yeah, okay, he's going through a lot of physical pain right now. He also went through all sorts of other physical pain, but he's still going through it and still pushing through it and still being resilient at the end of the day, no matter what. Here's a guy that can break his back, be on his deathbed, and then in a few years do a few thousand burpees. Like, yeah, okay, I want to look to that. I want to take something away from that, and I want to make it my own. So that was kind of what we're doing on June 1st. I'm really excited for it. I've been training pretty hard for it. I've done a few thousand burpees this month already because I know, one shot, one go, one day of a few thousand burpees is not going to be easy at all.
Yeah, no, certainly. And you got the math right there. It is 1,078 burpees so far total, with $2,156 raised so far. And I'm sure now the lacrosse community, like usual, will come together and support mental health in your initiative, because it's something truly inspiring and amazing. So what we're going to do is we're going to post this on our social media pages, and we will also post a link to your GoFundMe account. And we're going to try to jack up that number for you so that hopefully you get over about 1,500 burpees in there. But at the same time, I know how hard of a grind it will be for you. So it's going to be quite something to see.
It will be a grind, and it will be a grind. But I mean, the thing that's going to be getting me through all that is every time I see a new donation, it's a name I recognize almost always, and it's a name that's either interacted with them in lacrosse or in life, or I've had a mental health talk with, and seeing like, yeah, you know what? This is the right thing to do. A lot of people want to get involved with this kind of initiative. And I think that if we keep doing this kind of stuff, it's going to be a lot easier for younger athletes to avoid the situations that I was in.
Yeah, exactly. And you talked a lot about it there with the go back to the having support and everything. And I know that a lot of kids sometimes don't feel confident enough to go to their parents or stuff like that. And I know from knowing you personally, Trevor, and being with the Green Gaels and stuff like that together, I know that you're always an open support for kids to come and talk to and other people to come and talk to. And it's the same with myself. I know I've been around sports for a long time, just like you. And it's not easy sometimes. And when people need help, it's just, they need to know that it's okay to reach out to, whether it's you or me or whatever it may be. Talking is always the most important thing, and trying to trying to get through these difficult times. So we do appreciate you coming on here, and we're really excited for you and your TCT Resiliency Initiative, and we wish you the best of luck with it. And hopefully it's not too hard on you. I think you're going to get well over 1,500 burpees here in one day.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one, man. I appreciate you having me on here. I wish the situation was different. Wish we were coaching together out on the floor, but definitely making the best of what we have. And we'll get back out there. Things will return to play eventually, right?
Yeah, exactly. But the most important thing now is it's May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we are going to help you out with your TCT Resiliency Initiative and get you doing as many burpees as possible. So we really appreciate you coming on here and talking with us, and we can't wait to share your story to everyone in the lacrosse community.
I appreciate it a lot, Will. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thanks for listening to this special episode about Trevor Cyr and his mental health journey. You can find out more information about the TCT Resiliency Initiative on our social media pages on Twitter and Instagram at SticksPicsLax and on Facebook at Sticks and Pics Lacrosse. If you are able to, please consider donating to his amazing initiative. The link for the GoFundMe account will be posted on our social media pages. A reminder to all that it's okay to not be okay. Ask for help, it can change your life for the better.